There is a vitamin, one you probably think of as completely harmless, that I've seen in my own clinical work contribute to a catastrophic event in the brain. It's sold over the counter. It's praised by wellness gurus. And for some people, it is a ticking clock for their vascular health. This isn't a rare toxin, it's a common supplement. I recall a patient, a man in his early 50s, who lived what most would consider an exemplary healthy lifestyle. He ate clean, exercised, and was diligent about his health. Yet he ended up in my care after a stroke that came out of nowhere. The confounding factor, the piece that didn't fit, was the high-potency B complex he took every morning, believing it was his insurance policy for energy and focus. That case was a stark human reminder that good intentions aren't enough if the biological premise is wrong. The most shocking part is how the danger hides in plain sight, in a specific dosage that millions of people take every single day, convinced they are doing something beneficial. I'm going to break down the exact science, who is most at risk, and precisely what you need to do to protect yourself. Do not click away, because understanding this isn't just about avoiding a disaster, it's about finally understanding how to properly fuel your brain for the long term. This could be one of the most important things you do for your brain health this year. We need to start by dismantling a myth. It's a myth that has been carefully constructed over decades, not necessarily out of malice, but out of a combination of marketing savvy and a fundamental misunderstanding of human biology. The myth is that when it comes to vitamins, more is always better. We see it everywhere. The high-potency formulas, the mega-dose infusions, the promise that you can supercharge your life by flooding your system with nutrients. And no group of vitamins has been more central to this myth than the B-complex vitamins. They are the darlings of the wellness world. Feeling tired? Take B12. Feeling stressed or foggy? You need a B-complex? Want better hair, skin, and nails? The answer, you're told, is biotin, which is vitamin B7. These vitamins are positioned as the fuel for our cellular engines, the sparks that drive our metabolism, mood, and mental clarity. And in a biological sense, that's not untrue. B vitamins are absolutely essential cofactors in thousands of critical enzymatic reactions in the body. They are fundamental to our existence. But the story that we've been sold is a dangerously incomplete one. It's a children's bedtime story version of a complex, intricate novel. The narrative of B vitamins as a universal, harmless panacea ignores a crucial biological reality. Your body is a system of exquisite balance, of homeostasis. It is not a passive bucket that you can just fill to the brim with isolated nutrients without consequence. Forcing one pathway into overdrive with massive, unnatural doses can and does create profound imbalances elsewhere. The supplement we are focusing on today, the one that I've seen create a state of clinical emergency, is not some obscure compound. It is the high-dose B complex, specifically those containing massive amounts of synthetic folic acid, B6, and B12. I'm talking about the formulas that proudly advertise 1,000%, 5,000%, or even 10,000% of your recommended daily value. We've been conditioned to see those numbers and think power, potency, and effectiveness. We see a bright, cheerful bottle and feel a sense of proactive virtue. As a brain specialist, I see those numbers and I think biological stress, metabolic disruption, and for a specific subset of the population, unacceptable risk. The harmless myth is that because these are water-soluble vitamins, any excess is simply washed out of the body without a trace. This is perhaps the single most dangerous piece of misinformation in the entire supplement industry. Repeated so often, it has become gospel. While it's true that your body doesn't store them in the same way it stores fat-soluble vitamins like D or A, that doesn't mean they can't cause harm on their way through your system. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of toxicology and metabolism. The presence of a substance, even transiently, can trigger a chain reaction of events. Think of it like this. A flash flood is just water, and it will eventually recede, but it can cause immense damage on its way through a town. It can wash out bridges, crack building foundations, and overwhelm the sewage system. Similarly, flooding your bloodstream with unnaturally high concentrations of certain B vitamins can overwhelm your metabolic machinery, creating toxic byproducts and pushing your vascular system toward a breaking point. The risk isn't from long-term storage. The risk is from the acute, overwhelming pressure these megadoses place on your intricate biological pathways. It's a short-term flood that can, quite literally, leave permanent damage behind. This is the reality that the marketing campaigns for high-potency formulas will never tell you. They sell you the promise of energy and vitality, but they omit the fine print about biological tolerance and genetic individuality. It's a calculated omission because nuance doesn't sell as well as a simple, powerful promise. And it is in that fine print, in the subtle language of your own unique genetic code, that the risk of stroke quietly resides. Our journey today is to read that fine print together. This is not about demonizing B vitamins. Let me be absolutely clear. They are essential for life and for brain health. This is about dismantling the more is better myth and replacing it with a more sophisticated, more accurate, and ultimately safer understanding of nutritional science. It's about precision. It's about respecting the fact that your body has a unique instruction manual written in your DNA and that a one-size-fits-all approach to supplementation is not just suboptimal, it can be profoundly dangerous. The idea that a vitamin could be anything other than helpful is deeply counterintuitive, which is precisely why this blind spot exists. We trust vitamins. We see them as inherently good, as natural allies in our quest for health. It's time to move past that simplistic view and embrace a more nuanced reality because the health of your brain depends on it. The cultural momentum behind this is powerful. You walk into any pharmacy or health food store and you are met with an entire wall of promises in a bottle. Brighter mood, sharper focus, boundless energy. These are things we all want, deeply human desires for a life lived with vitality. And when a simple, affordable pill promises to deliver them, it's an incredibly compelling proposition. The labels are designed to reassure you. All natural, scientist formulated, high potency. These are marketing terms, not guarantees of safety or efficacy for your specific biology. The very thing that makes these supplements seem so appealing, their accessibility and the perception of their safety, is what makes them a hidden threat. People don't approach a bottle of B vitamins with the same caution they would a prescription medication, yet for some individuals, they can have a powerful drug-like effect on the body. The problem is compounded by well-meaning but often ill-informed advice from health influencers, trainers, and wellness bloggers who perpetuate the megadosing myth. They share their personal anecdotes of feeling amazing on a high-dose B complex, and their followers, trusting them, replicate the practice. But what works for one person, or what seems to work, may be a ticking time bomb for another. This is the crux of the issue. We are treating a diverse population with a monolithic solution. We are ignoring the single most important factor in all of health and medicine: biochemical individuality. The story of this vitamin and stroke risk is the ultimate lesson in why that individuality can never, ever be ignored. It's time to pull back the curtain on this harmless myth and look at the hard science of what's actually happening inside your blood vessels. To understand how a vitamin can increase stroke risk, we need to talk about a specific process in your body called methylation. Now, this might sound complicated, but let's break it down into a very simple analogy. Imagine your body is a massive, incredibly sophisticated factory. This factory is constantly performing millions of tasks, building new cells, repairing tissues, producing hormones and neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, and detoxifying waste. For all of these tasks to happen, you need workers and tools. Methylation is one of the most important assembly lines in this entire factory. It's a process where a tiny molecule, a methyl group, is attached to another molecule, like a key fitting into a lock. When this happens, it turns a gene on or off, it activates an enzyme, or it helps convert one substance into another. It is fundamental to everything. The B vitamins we're discussing, specifically folate, B9, B12, and B6, are the master workers on this methylation assembly line. They are the essential crew, the skilled technicians that keep everything running smoothly. Without them, the assembly line grinds to a halt and the entire factory's production suffers. One of the most important jobs of this assembly line is to process an amino acid called homocysteine. Think of homocysteine as a raw material, a normal byproduct created during a manufacturing step. In normal amounts, it's a perfectly fine intermediate product in your factory. The methylation assembly line takes this homocysteine and, using B vitamins as its tools, quickly converts it into other useful substances like methionine, a building block for proteins, and glutathione, your body's master antioxidant and detoxifier. It's a seamless, efficient process. Homocysteine comes in, gets processed, and is turned into something beneficial. The problem arises when this assembly line becomes dysfunctional. What if you suddenly dump a massive, overwhelming amount of raw material onto the line? Or what if some of the workers, the B vitamins, are the wrong type for the specific machinery you have? This is precisely what happens when you take high-dose supplements containing the synthetic form of folate, which is called folic acid. Your body has to convert that synthetic folic acid into the usable active form called methylfolate. This conversion process can be slow and inefficient for many people. So you're flooding the factory with a raw material it can't process quickly, and the entire assembly line gets backed up. When the methylation cycle is overwhelmed and can't keep up, the raw material, homocysteine, starts to pile up. It spills off the assembly line and floods your system. And this is where the danger lies. High levels of homocysteine in the bloodstream are not benign. This is not a controversial idea. It is a well-established medical fact. Elevated homocysteine is a potent irritant to the lining of your blood vessels. Your arteries and veins are lined with a delicate single-cell thick layer called the endothelium. A healthy endothelium is incredibly smooth, almost like Teflon. It's a living, breathing barrier that actively manages blood flow and prevents clots from forming where they shouldn't. But high levels of homocysteine are like sandpaper to this delicate lining. It physically damages the endothelial cells, a condition known as endothelial dysfunction. It scratches and inflames that smooth surface, creating rough patches where there should be uninterrupted flow. Once that smooth, protective lining is damaged, a cascade of dangerous events begins to unfold. It's like a breach in the city walls. Your body's immune system rushes to the site of the injury, causing inflammation, which is the biological equivalent of sounding an alarm. This inflammation makes the vessel walls sticky. Cholesterol, particularly LDL cholesterol, which normally flows by harmlessly, can then more easily penetrate the damaged vessel wall and get trapped, initiating the process of atherosclerosis, or the hardening and narrowing of the arteries. It's the very beginning of a plaque. Furthermore, the damage from homocysteine can also interfere with your body's natural clotting mechanisms. It can make your blood platelets stickier and more prone to clumping together. So now you have a perfect storm brewing inside your blood vessels. You have damaged, inflamed, and narrowed arteries, and you have blood that is thicker and more likely to form a clot. This insidious combination is the direct pathway to a stroke. An ischemic stroke, which accounts for about 87% of all strokes, occurs when a blood clot blocks an artery that supplies blood to the brain. This can happen in two ways. A clot can form directly in a narrowed, damaged artery in the brain, a thrombotic stroke, or a clot can form elsewhere in the body, often in the larger arteries of the neck that have been damaged by atherosclerosis, and then travel to the brain, getting lodged in a smaller vessel, an embolic stroke. In either case, the result is the same. A part of the brain is starved of oxygen and nutrients, and brain cells begin to die within minutes. This entire catastrophic cascade can be initiated and accelerated by something as seemingly innocent as having too much unprocessed homocysteine, a direct consequence of an overwhelmed methylation cycle. And this cycle is often overwhelmed by taking the wrong kind of B vitamins in unnaturally high doses. The vascular stress is real, and it is a silent process. You don't feel your homocysteine levels rising. You don't feel the lining of your arteries becoming inflamed. It happens quietly, day after day, with each pill you swallow, until the moment of crisis. The connection between B vitamins, homocysteine, and stroke is not just a theoretical model. It has been the subject of extensive scientific research for decades. Large-scale studies have consistently shown that elevated homocysteine is an independent risk factor for cardiovascular disease and stroke, on par with other major risk factors like high cholesterol and high blood pressure. And while some intervention trials using B vitamins to lower homocysteine have had mixed results in preventing a first stroke, the story is different for secondary prevention and, crucially, for specific populations. The nuance lies in the type of vitamin used and the genetic makeup of the person taking it. Many older studies that showed little benefit used synthetic folic acid, the very form that can cause the metabolic traffic jam we discussed. They were, in effect, trying to fix the problem by pouring more of the problematic substance into the system. It's a critical distinction that changes everything and explains much of the confusion in the medical community. What this means is that your daily high-dose B complex, which you take for energy and mental clarity, could be silently fueling a process of vascular decay. It's the ultimate paradox of the wellness industry. A product marketed for health promotion could be directly contributing to the pathology of one of the most feared medical events. This isn't about creating fear, it's about illuminating a hidden mechanism. It's about understanding that the journey of a nutrient through your body is a complex biological story, not a simple transaction. The stress on your vascular system is a direct result of a metabolic mismatch, a clash between a one-size-fits-all supplement and an individual's unique biological capacity. And the key to understanding who is most susceptible to this mismatch lies in our next chapter, the hidden profile. So, who is most at risk? Why can one person take a high-dose B complex with no apparent issue, while for another it becomes a significant risk factor for a vascular event? The answer lies in our genes. Specifically, it lies in a gene called MTHFR. That stands for methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase. It's a mouthful, but its job is simple and profoundly important. MTHFR is the gene that provides the instructions for making the MTHFR enzyme. This enzyme is the single most critical piece of machinery on the methylation assembly line we talked about. Its specific job is to perform the final conversion step of turning folate from your diet or folic acid from supplements into the active form 5-methyltetrahydrofolate, or methylfolate for short. This active methylfolate is the form your body can actually use to process homocysteine. Now, here's the crucial part that affects tens of millions of people. The MTHFR gene is known to have common variations or polymorphisms. These are not rare mutations, they are incredibly common differences in the genetic code, like having a different eye color or hair texture. It's estimated that up to 50%, and in some populations even 60%, of people have at least one common variant in their MTHFR gene. These variants don't mean the gene is broken, it just means the enzyme it produces works a bit more slowly. Depending on the specific variant you have, your MTHFR enzyme might work at 70% efficiency, or in some cases as low as 30% efficiency compared to the standard version. Think of it as having a factory machine that was built to run a little bit slower than the one next door. This is the hidden profile. It's a genetic predisposition that makes you uniquely vulnerable to the problems we've been discussing. If you have a slower MTHFR enzyme, your ability to convert synthetic folic acid into the active methylfolate is inherently compromised. Your methylation assembly line is already working at a reduced capacity. Under normal conditions with a healthy diet, it works just fine. It can handle a normal dietary intake of folate from foods like leafy greens, but it cannot handle a massive flood of synthetic folic acid from a high-dose supplement. That's like asking a four-cylinder engine to suddenly perform like a V8. It's going to redline and break down. When a person with an MTHFR variant takes a megadose of folic acid, their system is completely overwhelmed. They simply cannot convert it fast enough. The unconverted folic acid can build up in the bloodstream, which has its own set of potential problems, including masking a B12 deficiency and potentially interfering with other cellular processes. But more importantly, the bottleneck it creates in the methylation cycle means homocysteine cannot be processed efficiently. For someone with a significant MTHFR variation, taking high-dose folic acid is like pouring gasoline on a fire. It directly leads to the elevation of homocysteine, which then initiates that damaging cascade of endothelial dysfunction, inflammation, and increased clotting risk. This person is not just taking a vitamin. They are actively, though unknowingly, creating the very biochemical conditions inside their body that are conducive to a stroke. This genetic variation is the missing link that explains why the risk is not universal. It's the key piece of information that turns a general wellness product into a personalized threat. You can be heterozygous for an MTHFR variant, meaning you inherited one copy of the variant gene from one parent, or you can be homozygous, meaning you inherited two copies, one from each parent. As you can imagine, being homozygous typically leads to a more significant reduction in enzyme function, and therefore a higher inherent risk when exposed to high levels of synthetic folic acid. But even being heterozygous, which is extremely common, can create a meaningful bottleneck. The critical point is that this is not a disease. Having an MTHFR variant does not mean you are sick. It simply means you have a different set of nutritional requirements. Your body's instruction manual is slightly different. You need to provide your methylation assembly line with the right form of the B vitamins, the pre-activated forms that don't require the slow enzyme to process them. The hidden profile isn't just about genetics, though. Other factors can compound the risk. Lifestyle choices like smoking have a devastating effect on the endothelium, making it far more susceptible to damage from homocysteine. Pre-existing conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, or kidney disease also put immense stress on the vascular system, creating a state of chronic inflammation that amplifies the risk. Your diet plays a huge role. A diet low in natural folate from leafy greens and high in processed foods further starves the methylation cycle of the resources it needs. So you can imagine a perfect storm scenario. A person with an undiagnosed MTHFR variant who also smokes, has borderline high blood pressure, and takes a daily high-potency B complex with synthetic folic acid because they feel tired. This individual is, from a biochemical standpoint, a prime candidate for a vascular event. They are unknowingly stacking risk factor upon risk factor, all while thinking that at least one of their habits, taking a vitamin, is a healthy one. The tragedy of this hidden profile is that it is, in fact, knowable. Genetic testing for MTHFR variants is widely available and relatively inexpensive. A simple blood test can tell you your homocysteine levels directly. But these tests are not part of routine medical checkups. You have to know to ask for them, and most people have no idea. They are operating in the dark, completely unaware of their own unique vulnerabilities. They are following generic health advice that, for their specific biology, is actively harmful. This is a massive gap in both public health knowledge and standard medical practice. We screen for high cholesterol and high blood pressure, but we rarely look at this equally important piece of the puzzle. Millions of people are walking around with this hidden profile, diligently taking their daily vitamins, believing they are doing something healthy, while the quiet work of vascular stress continues unabated. This knowledge should not be a source of fear. It should be a source of profound empowerment. Discovering you have an MTHFR variant is not a bad thing. It's a gift of information. It gives you a roadmap. It tells you exactly how you need to tailor your nutritional strategy to support your body's specific needs. It allows you to sidestep the risks we've discussed and instead provide your body with the precise fuel it requires to thrive. The problem is not the gene. The problem is the mismatch between the gene and the modern environment of high-dose synthetic supplements. The hidden profile is only hidden if you don't look for it. By understanding the importance of this genetic individuality, you can move from being a passive consumer of wellness products to being the informed architect of your own health. And that begins with knowing what to do with this information, which brings us to our final and most important chapter. So, what do? How do we navigate this complex landscape and protect our brain health? The goal is not to abandon B vitamins, but to approach them with the precision and respect they deserve. This is about moving from a blunt force approach to a targeted, intelligent strategy. The SAFE protocol is built on 3 pillars: knowledge, diet, and smart supplementation. It's a proactive plan that puts you in control. The first pillar is knowledge. You cannot personalize your health strategy if you are operating in the dark. This means having a conversation with a knowledgeable healthcare provider, a doctor who understands functional medicine or nutritional biochemistry. Ask them about testing. 2 key tests can give you a clear picture of your personal risk profile. The first is a simple blood test for homocysteine levels. This is a direct measurement of the potential for vascular stress. An optimal homocysteine level is generally considered to be below 9 or 10 umol/L. If your levels are elevated, it's a clear signal that your methylation cycle is struggling and needs support. It's a red flag that requires immediate attention, but it's one you can absolutely address. The second test, if you want to understand the underlying why, is genetic testing for MTHFR polymorphisms. This will tell you if you have one of the common variants that slows down your folate processing enzyme. Knowing your MTHFR status is like being given a crucial page from your body's instruction manual. It explains your inherent predispositions and gives you a clear direction for nutritional intervention. Again, this is not about diagnosing a disease. It's about understanding your unique metabolic blueprint. Armed with the knowledge of your homocysteine levels and your MTHFR status, you and your doctor can make truly informed decisions, moving beyond guesswork and into the realm of precision health. This knowledge trades vague anxiety for concrete action. The second pillar is diet. Before we even consider a supplement, we must always look to food first. Your body was designed to get its nutrients from whole foods, where they exist in a complex, synergistic balance. The single best thing you can do to support your methylation cycle is to eat a diet rich in natural folate. Notice I said folate, not folic acid. Folate is the form found in nature. The best sources are dark leafy greens, spinach, kale, collard greens, romaine lettuce, as well as legumes like lentils and beans, and vegetables like broccoli and asparagus. Eating these vibrant living foods consistently provides your body with the raw materials it needs in the form it recognizes and can readily use even for those with MTHFR variants. Your diet should also be rich in natural sources of B12 from well-sourced animal products or fortified nutritional yeast for vegans, and B6 from foods like chickpeas, salmon, tuna, and chicken breast. A whole foods-based diet is the foundation of a safe and effective protocol. You cannot supplement your way out of a poor diet. The third pillar is smart supplementation. For some people, especially those with confirmed high homocysteine or significant MTHFR variants, supplementation may be a necessary and powerful tool, but it must be done correctly. This is where the details matter immensely. If you are going to supplement, you must avoid products with folic acid. Look at the label. If it says folic acid, put it back on the shelf. Instead, you need to look for the activated, bioavailable form of folate. On the supplement facts panel, it will be listed as L5-methyl tetrahydrofolate L5-MTHF, or sometimes just methylfolate. Write these names down, take a picture of the screen. This is the form of the vitamin that has already been converted. It completely bypasses the need for the slow MTHFR enzyme. It's like giving your factory assembly line a pre-built part, allowing it to continue its work seamlessly. The same principle applies to vitamin B12. Many cheap supplements use a form called cyanocobalamin. This form contains a cyanide molecule, a very tiny, generally safe amount, but still, that the body must detach and process. A much better, more bioavailable form is methylcobalamin. This is the activated form of B12 that is already prepared to participate in the methylation cycle. For vitamin B6, the active form is pyridoxal 5-phosphate, or P5P. So a brain-safe B complex would contain methylfolate, methylcobalamin, and P5P. These are the intelligent forms of the vitamins that work with your biology, not against it. Critically, you should not be seeking out the highest dose you can find, even of these activated forms. The goal is balance, not brute force. Work with your doctor to determine the appropriate dose for your specific needs, which is often far lower than the mega doses found in popular consumer brands. The goal is to provide just enough to optimize function, not to flood the system. Remember the core principle. Your body is a system of exquisite balance. Smart supplementation respects that balance. This protocol, knowledge, diet, and smart supplementation, is the path to safety and optimization. It takes you out of the world of wellness marketing and puts you into the world of personal biochemistry. It's a shift in mindset. Instead of asking, what supplement should I take to feel better? You start asking, what does my unique body need to function optimally? This approach respects the complexity and wisdom of your body. It acknowledges that you are not a statistic or an average. You are an individual, and your health journey requires an individualized plan. This journey is not about fear. It is about precision. It is about understanding these critical nuances that allow you to take the wheel. You are no longer just a passive consumer of supplements. You are the architect of your own brain health, building a foundation of resilience, one informed choice at a time. Take this knowledge and be empowered.